So we are going to do the honey roasted or honey glazed pork chops. I've already started on some stuff, so we're going to jump right into it. I've already cleaned and sanitized my workstation. What's the next thing we need to do? We gotta wash. So, as you're watching me wash my hands, what is something that you notice about chef's hands that is blatantly wrong if we were in a commercial kitchen? Not a home kitchen, but a commercial kitchen. You get a hint. Look at my nails. I'll ask you guys again, what's wrong with this picture? All right, so I've got some ingredients laid out. I'm gonna make a smaller version just because it'll be quicker for you guys today. And I will upload recipes and how to multiply them out. We've got the sweet potato. I've got some garlic that's already minced. I've got all my scraps. Do you guys remember what we do with scraps? That's gonna be another question. We've got salt, pepper, honey, some oil, soy sauce. I have some extra everything bagel seasoning, but if you don't have this, this is just a fun because I want to use it. I've got some pork chops. I've got 4 pork chops laid out. And I've got some green beans. I thought I had Brussels sprouts, but I have green beans in my freezer, so that's what I used. And I totally use the frozen ones. So you can use fresh, you can use frozen, you can use canned, whatever you want to do. So we're going to peel your potatoes first because your potatoes are going to take the longest to cook. So I've already peeled them. I've got all my trash here, and we're going to put those in our scrap bag. And I'm just going to rough chop these sweet potatoes because all I'm going to do is just, sweet potatoes are so dense, and this is really not a good knife for this. So you guys need to be very careful when you do this because this knife is literally like stuck in this sweet potato. I probably should have grabbed a heavier duty knife. So you're going to want to use a utility knife for this. If you have a bigger knife, that will be your better choice. But you can see they're very thick and coarse, so it makes it a little harder to actually get through them. So that's why I'm not worried so much about the size of these guys, as long as they are, and I'm kind of breaking some rules here, but making sure your hands are out of the way. Use that claw method when you can, but you may have to actually bridge and go between because these are so coarse and hard to actually cut. And you may actually have to add some pressure to that blade, whereas I am, to actually go through it. You can hear it. It's very, very thick. So we're just going to rough chop these guys right on up, and I'm going to throw them on a sprayed sheet pan. All right. Now you can leave them like this, and you can turn them into sweet potato fries, and cut them into strips if you wanted to. I left some trash on my cutting board, and so it's sticking to everything. Or you can just cube them, which is what I'm going to do, is I'm just going to cube these guys right on up. And just kind of rough chop. I don't care if they're pretty or not. They're all going to taste the same. You want them close in size, but they don't have to be uniform. And we'll do the same thing over here. They're a little easier to cut when they're smaller pieces versus the whole potato. All right, so I'm gonna throw these on a baking sheet. And you're just gonna spray that lightly. Otherwise, they're not gonna come off the pan. And I line everything in foil or parchment just because it's easier to clean up. So I'm just gonna throw these guys right on here. Some of these are a little bit bigger than I thought they were. So I'm gonna cut those in half again. All right. So now you can be creative and you can season them however you want. I'm gonna do a small drizzle of oil across them. I'm using the cheap oil because that's what I have. And I'm going to do salt, pepper, garlic. I said garlic, didn't I? It would help if I got that out right. Salt, pepper, garlic. And I want them to be a little hot with some smoky flavor, so I'm going to add some chipotle to mine. I'm mixing flavors here tonight. You can add whatever you want. I'm going to grab a spoon and I'm just going to kind of toss those around and what oil is on the pan. They don't need to be coated. They just need to have a little bit on them and they'll roast themselves. And we're gonna throw those in an oven that is preheated to 425. And actually I'm gonna put them on the bottom rack because I want them to cook faster. All right, while those are in there, we're gonna bring a pan up to about a medium-high heat. I'm gonna spray it, and I'm gonna add a drizzle of oil to it as well. While it's coming to temp, I'm going to salt, pepper, and garlic some pork chops. Because salt and pepper and garlic make everything better. You can make food taste great with next to no seasoning. And I'm gonna let those sit. This pan's gonna get nice and hot. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our pork chops to it and we are going to pan sear them for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side until they get a nice brown color. And I'm gonna put them in a plate and I'm gonna set them in the microwave so they stay warm because we want them to be nice and hot still when we go to eat them. Otherwise you're gonna have pork chops that are done and nothing else is done and it is gonna be like, wait, what happened here? My meal's not put together. So, this is starting to get hot. I'm gonna just throw these guys right on in there. I got a nice little sizzle as soon as they hit the pan. What is the internal cooking temperature for pork? I will ask you that again during class. And I'm gonna wash these real quick too. Just because I handled some raw meat with them. All right, those are nice and ready again. So I've got some garlic minced over here. For those that don't remember how to chop garlic, I know we've done it a few times in class, but we have a few others. You can pinch your ends and break it, or you can cut it. And you're just gonna kind of pull that back. You're gonna wanna cut the bottom part where it's got the little head to it. And then the rest of this is just gonna peel right on off pretty easily. There it goes. And I'm saving all of that for my scrap bin. And then this is super tiny. It's kind of hard to get right on in there. You'll want to probably use your bridge technique again. Just watch your fingers. And then just kind of chop those right on up. I'm going to throw them in here and then we're just going to do a quick little chops just to get that a little smaller. All right. So this is my soy sauce. I kept my packets from the school. I don't know if you did or not. If you didn't, you need about 2 to 3 packs worth for 4 pork chops, or about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. I have about 2.5 tablespoons of honey, and they will be what we're going to make our glaze out of. These are starting to get a little bit of color down through in here. You can see where the white is starting to come up. When that gets close to halfway, that's when you're going to know when to turn them over. And when we flip them over, we're going to season them again on the other side. The green beans that we have, we're going to saute them in the same pan after the pork chops are done. And we're going to use some of the same glaze with them. So that's going to give them some extra flavor. These were frozen, but I left them out to kind of thaw during this process. So you can still see there's ice in them, and that's okay. But you can use them from thawed, you can use them fresh. Don't use them from like frozen unless you're gonna like microwave them and like steam them for a couple minutes in the package, and then you can throw them right into the pan. Otherwise, it's only gonna take a couple minutes too. So pretty much this whole meal will be ready in 20 to 25 minutes or less, which is perfect for us busy schedules and like losing our minds. I don't like to be in the kitchen all night long cooking anything. I know your parents don't, and I know you guys don't. We're starting to get somewhere. Making sure we're not sticking. That one was starting to stick a little. Just kind of throw them around in the pan if you feel like they're sticking. And that'll move that coloration and keep them from not tearing when you go to flip them later. If you realize your pan is getting dry, you can add another drizzle of oil into it. These are nice and juicy. You can see that they're keeping some of that in there. The center of your pan is always going to be the hottest, so you want to try to rotate those around and kind of leave your open in the middle, so that way half of your pork chop's not getting cooked at a really hot temperature, and then the outer parts of your pan aren't nearly as hot. So you want to try to keep that very even, and by doing that, you're going to push them to your edges around. If you're wanting something to cook fast and quick, then you can throw them right in the middle, but then you're looking to use them and they will like actually start to stick and tear. These are about half on each side now. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these. See, this one's getting some nice color to it. So is that one. You can tell where the heat is, where there's more heat. This side isn't, so we're going to bring that guy in a little more so he's getting the same colors that his friends are. A little more salt and pepper. I'm only using maybe a pinch at a time. Like, I'm not using every bit of that. So just a couple little sprinkles. Because you don't want a lot of salt. I'm going to let those continue to cook down. Those are thinking about getting happy. If you want them to cook faster, you don't have to necessarily keep them at 400. You can put them on the bottom rack and broil them, and they'll cook a little faster that way too. These are going to be done super fast, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up to a broil. So that way they'll roast a little quicker. Please start to smell it. It smells good. Elizabeth's with me today. She is my videographer because that's how I have hands. So kind of nice, and she's going to be able to reap the benefits of being in the kitchen today, which will make her super happy. So right now all we're doing is waiting on pork chops to cook and potatoes because I can't do anything else right now. So let's go over some serve-safe temperatures while we are waiting for these pork chops to cook. What is the internal temperature for pork? I'll give you guys time to answer, and then I'll make sure it's right when we're doing this video. And then in class, what is the internal temperature for ground beef? Poultry or ground poultry. What is that temperature? Let's see. Fish. We want to know that temperature as well. And then we're going to get into, beforehand, some of the temperatures for reheating things and what safe holding temperatures are. So be prepared for my questions because they are coming, guys. Elizabeth, do they have homework with you? I can't remember.
I don't think so. I can't.
Oh, you guys got lucky. Because I was going to totally let Elizabeth be like, haha, I interrupted the culinary video to quiz you guys.
Oh, I just came up with something. If you guys find yourself responding or reacting in a situation this week, let me know about it.
Perfect.
Did you respond? Did you react? What happened? etc., etc. We want some real life examples if possible.
And so that will be good. You guys are supposed to still be working on your SMART goals. I know that. So maybe you guys may have some of those and would like to share them during class and have them ready. If you guys are drinking more water, that's a good, fast, easy one. I know a lot of you guys have been saying that was something you wanted to work on. So let me know how that's going. If you're eating more vegetables, if you're willing to try some new stuff, because that makes me happy. I know this week you guys are eating some new stuff because of the ingredient list you told me you needed. So I'm super excited to hear that. So let us know how those goals are coming. And I think I'm about ready to flip these guys again and see how they're doing. Oh, yeah. If I can get underneath it. All right. So who knows how to calibrate a thermometer? I'm going to ask you that. I calibrated this one last night. I'm looking at it now, and it's accurate. So I'm going to ask you guys how you calibrate. I'm going to make sure it's good and clean before I check the pork chop. Where do I probe meat? Where should I stick this in here to make sure it's the most accurate temperature? You want the thicker part, and what's the denser part of the muscle or the meat itself. And you're going to go in at an angle and bring that in. These are nowhere near being done. They're coming up slowly. I'll turn them out. We're looking at about 122 degrees. Well, it's continuing to climb, which is good. But that's what that pan, like this one pork chop is. But it has the least amount of color than a lot of them. So maybe this one may be hotter than the others. It went straight up to about 130. So they're getting there. It won't be much longer, about another minute or two. Make sure you have a clean plate for when you put your cooked pork chops on them, not the plate that I had the raw pork chops on, because otherwise you're going to get sick. Because that is what did we do? We crossed. I'll let y'all fill that blanket. I'm going to turn my feet up a little more too. I can smell the sweet potatoes in here, and they're actually starting to bubble inside my light. You can see that they're getting a nice bubble to them, and they're actually starting to brown in a couple places. I'm actually going to just give them a little toss just to make sure they're cooking evenly. All right. See all the pretty color in this pan? We are going to use that as part of our glaze. We'll deglaze this pan, and that's going to give it some super, super yummy flavor in our sauce. I just don't like the color on these guys. There we go. I want a nice brown all the way through. This is the worst part, is the waiting part. I got to figure out, Josh, you're the one who will help me with this, how I scrub out all the extra time lapse so I can be like, okay, they're cooking, and oh, look, bam, they're done. Because I have no idea how to do all of that. I don't know if Elizabeth does or not.
I just know to hit stop and then start again.
That's me. So I'll meet Josh on our technical difficulties there. He says he is our pro filmer, so I'll have to figure out how to do that so these videos aren't quite so long.
But if you guys were here, you wouldn't mind because you could smell it, and it smells so good. So you don't mind standing around listening to it cook and watching it and smelling it.
That's right.
You just get to watch it. You can't smell it.
Ha ha!
You can't.
I want smell-o-vision. Yeah.
Except for our Zoom meetings when we haven't bathed. I'm sure some of you probably don't want smell-o-vision during Zoom meetings.
I don't. Well, Tuesday was fine. I had just showered. So that was my reward for the day of a positive thing that I had done, is I had showered, which I have yet to do today. So, adulting in the finest.
But that's okay, because all we smell is garlic.
That's right. I mean, I showered last night before I went to bed. I soaked in Epsom salt because Elizabeth tried to kill me on the track yesterday.
Yeah, so if any of you guys need some help exercising, I'll take you running.
Yeah, I was casually panting like I needed CPR behind her as she runs the course. And I'm like, I'm coming, Elizabeth. I'm coming. It was a great day. It was. I felt wonderful afterwards. I mean, I thought I was not going to make it during the time. But afterwards, oh my gosh, I felt great.
It felt great for me to be the fast person for once, with all the other professional runners on the slow one in the bunch.
Not anymore, friend. I got you covered there. I got you covered. I watched her. She was like, okay, well, you're jogging. You're fine. She goes, I'm going to go run down there and run back. And I'm like, oh, okay, girl, you go ahead. I'm coming. So it was a struggle, but it's getting better each day. And that's the cool thing about setting these goals and then getting out there and doing them, is you can see your progress. When I started this journey months ago, I couldn't even hardly walk that track for more than a mile, and I was miserable. This week alone, I've put in close to 13 miles, and it's Thursday. And I've actually jogged and sprinted some of that. So, I mean, it's pretty awesome to see the difference. And you guys, you'll see the difference in your goals. Maybe you haven't realized that, hey, I'm drinking like 2 bottles of water a day instead of 1. Or maybe you're drinking like 5 glasses of water. And before you were drinking like 6 soft drinks instead. So there's little changes that we make and they get bigger and bigger. And we don't even realize it because we just slowly start out. So I definitely want to hear what your SMART goals are and how you're doing. And I know Elizabeth does too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. These are a nice brown all the way across, which means they should be pretty close to temperature. Oh yeah. Oh, we're going over. We're perfect. I'm not telling you because I don't want you guys to know what that temperature is, because you're going to have to tell me. So we're going to pull these guys right on off. I'm going to cut my pan down to low, and we are going to make a lot of noise. I'm going to throw these in my microwave so they stay nice and warm. I want this pan to cool a little bit. And here we go, lots of noise. Lots of bubbles. All right. So you can see that our pan pretty much cleaned itself when that happened. All of those things have pretty much come off and they aren't sticking anymore. So now we are going to add about half of our garlic, maybe about 2/3 of our garlic, because I like garlic. And we're gonna saute that right on up in that pan. And once it starts to cook and get fragrant and you're gonna get hit in the face with garlic and you're like, oh, so good. Then is when I'm gonna start adding the other ingredients to it. So you just kind of wanna toss those around, scrape your pan, get all those yummy bits and pieces out of there. Sniffing, we're not there yet. We're gonna let that cook down just a little bit because I don't want a whole lot of liquid, because then our glaze isn't gonna be glazy, it's gonna be runny. There we go. Now I'm starting to smell some garlic. We'll let that keep doing its thing. I'm gonna check on the potatoes. Oh, we're getting somewhere. They're getting some nice brown edges. And I remember I turned that up to broil because I just wanted them to cook a little faster. Or you can start them beforehand, which is what I normally would have done. But I wanted to show you guys the potato and everything first. So you always want to cook your carbohydrate, which more times than not is a form of potato or rice. And they take significantly longer to cook than your meats. Potatoes take 20 to 45 minutes depending on how long and what temperature you have put them in at. You can up it and try to get it done in 20. Rice usually takes about 20 minutes to cook down. So you want to plan your meal accordingly. You want to make sure whatever takes the longest to cook, you're going to cook first. All right, most of my liquid is cooked out of this pan now. So I'm going to add our soy sauce right on in. Get out of the way. We're going to add our soy sauce. And we're going to add our honey. And then we're just going to keep stirring that around once I get it in there until it starts to get syrupy, which won't take but about a minute or so. I'm just going to kind of mix that all in. And I've got this turned down to about a medium low, because you don't want a super hot pan, otherwise it'll burn, it will stick, it will be gross, you're not going to be happy. Alright, that is just about done. It's starting to kind of form and get thicker. It still definitely needs a few minutes. You see how this is starting to bubble really good? That's the sugar in the honey, and it's starting to caramelize, and it's getting to where it's super hot and sticky, and then that's what's going to make that actual glaze and bring that syrupy texture up. So you want to see lots of those little bubbles, but you want to make sure you're stirring and watching it, because you don't want it to burn, because sugar will burn super quick. I'm not used to using a spoon, can you tell? I'm trying to be like, you know, making it easier on you guys and showing a spoon, but I'm not used to it. I'm used to just tossing pans around. All right. So we're getting, it's definitely thickening, you can see, but it's not quite as thick as I want it yet. So another couple minutes or seconds, just depends on how fast the sugar wants to cook down. It smells so good, guys. We're almost there. Alright, the whole thing's getting nice and bubbly now instead of just a couple spots. And you can see where the sugar is and then where the liquid is going. So that's what you want to bring back in and fold. Here we go. This is just about perfect, guys. That will stick to the spoon very nicely. We are going to pour that into a bowl because I want to use that pan still. And I'm leaving a good bit of it behind. I'm not worried about scraping it so much. And we're going to throw those green beans right in there. A little salt. Pepper, a little garlic. They're going to soak up the flavor from those the honey and that soy sauce that was already there. You can see how they cleaned the pan almost just by going straight in. And you're just going to want to stir those in and bring your heat back up to about a medium high. And these will only take about 3 to 4 minutes to do. Our potatoes should be almost done. They are. And because where I added some spice to those potatoes, I want to give them a sweet undertone as well. Clear some of not used to leaving ingredients out for you guys to see. So I have got a little bit of honey left in this little bowl. And I'm gonna just kind of drizzle, if it'll come out. It doesn't want to cooperate. So, grab a fork. If you've got a jar of honey, you can do it this way. If you don't have a jar of honey or packets, you just kind of want to drizzle. So I'm just going to drizzle some honey right over those potatoes. And I want to add a little bit of my everything bacon seasoning, which is optional. Stir these green beans. Those are starting to get brown on the edges. I'm throwing one out. Alright. So I'm going to grab a plate in the meantime. And I'm going to throw some of these sweet potatoes that are nice and hot and yummy. Oh man, I grabbed my plate that has a chip out of it. I didn't even realize. So we got this. I'm going to grab my pork chops out of the microwave. I have a blueberry cobbler in there out of the blueberries left over from school yesterday. The green beans are just about done. I want them to have a little more flavor, so I'm going to go ahead and add some of that, the rest of that fresh garlic to it. Yum. All right. So we're going to throw a pork chop on here. We're going to have some green beans to go on that plate, and then we're going to hit them with our drizzle. With Brussels sprouts, you're going to want to probably roast them, and you'll cut them in half. I'll post a video on how to do that. And take off your end pieces. And then about halfway through your potato time, because it takes about half the amount of time to actually, you know what, I should have. We're going to put my pork chop back over here for just a minute. Throw some green beans. I like to see more greens than anything else on the plate. We'll put our pork chop right back here in the middle. And then we're just going to hit that with that nice, yummy glaze. And I want it everywhere else too, because, you know, it's delicious. And ta-da! There is your honey glazed pork chops with sweet potatoes and green beans. Want to see your videos? Want to see your pictures? You guys enjoy. Elizabeth is getting ready to chow down.